Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Welcome to our campaign update number 4.
Session 4.
Chat is currently down, but trust me, everyone was saying a big
Everyone
hello
is
to
saying
YouTube.
hello to you.
Everyone's still saying
Everyone's saying hello to you, but you can't see it because Streamlabs is down.
Indeed.
But welcome back.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for all the love and all the appreciation you're showing for these campaign updates.
We love it.
It really means a lot, so thank you. And let's just get into it.
Yes.
All right. So we left off session 3
Yeah.
where we were basically, Avalo had scaled the wall.
Yeah.
He had taken a look. He had scouted out. He had this
Sort of flashback memory, sort of like vision
and
of him going back to his old house with his wife. And then he found the gate, he hopped back down, went back to meet up with the group who was burning some of the bodies from the fight that they had, and then they went to a nearby house to not attract too much attention from the smoke signal that the bodies would give off.
Yes.
And then they had a big chat with Matthew's patron and
Roverette.
We went to bed.
Yes, and we picked up this session 4, as we were having that long rest, because listen, if there's one thing we're going to do on a long rest, it's chat.
It's chat.
We're gonna have some conversations.
They're gonna gossip and knitter and natter, and on a in the downtime when they get to do their watches, they love to just role play out asking God's questions and writing things in diaries and things like that. They love that intimate one-on-one time with me where they can ask me if they can do things. So I never really skip a long rest unless we absolutely need to.
Yeah, when we ended last session and you were like, okay, well, you'll have the long rest, we all came into it going, oh,
we whoa. Hey.
Oh, we're going to role play.
We're going to role play.
We certainly are going to do some stuff.
Hold your goddamn horses.
Goodness gracious me, we certainly did do some stuff. So, Blythe, she is a reskinned Eladrin, for those who don't know. She appears human, but she is reskinned. So she technically doesn't have to get that much sleep. She can do a trance for 4 hours and she gets a rest. And I kind of reflavor that as she just can't sleep.
She's just so sad that she can't sleep.
Yeah.
She's just so depressed that she can't sleep very much.
Genuinely, that's exactly how I flavor it. She just doesn't rest because she physically can't. So Blythe said to the group, if you would prefer to have a sleep in, if you would prefer to sleep, then feel free. I will be awake anyway. And if anyone needs anything, please come and find me. And, above table, I was like, well, I don't want to take away from anyone's things they do on a long rest, but if you need Blythe, she's there.
Yeah.
And it started off with Avalo taking the first watch, and Avalo, I don't really think he actually.
Avalo didn't really do much.
Yeah,
I think he thought about sort of what he'd seen and stuff like that. But he was very much trying to keep an eye to make sure nothing came out of the gate because the bodies were still burning and the smoke was still rising. Yeah. And he was just really cautious that something was going to come out. But nothing came to the gate.
Yes, indeed. And he ended his long rest and he came to get Blythe. And I flavored it as in, Balthazar, my sweet boy. I had Balthazar get up and go over first and kind of curl up around Avalo's feet. And then Blythe came over and said, hey, I can't sleep.
Hey,
you
over there, can't sleep.
Can't sleep. So we sit down and hey, if there's one thing I'm going to do with Josh, it's I'm going to corner him on a night's watch and I'm going to ask him loads of questions and talk to him.
You know how Critical Role joke about your character is romanceable if Laura Bailey says they're romanceable? Margaret says, you will talk to me at nighttime if I make you talk to me at nighttime.
Truly.
If I corner you, you're talking to me and giving me your deepest, darkest secrets.
Oh, yes.
And there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh, yes. Quite simply, yes. So in the previous session that I mentioned in the last update, he obviously had his dream.
Yes.
In the very first session, when Blythe and Avalo went to see what Father Augustine was doing at the tree that had the jars hanging, that ended up being mementos of our one-shot characters. Blythe did an insight check on Avalo to see how he was feeling, and as you know, Avalo's very, very emotionless, very stone-faced, has literally no emotion intentionally. And in that moment at the tree in session 1, Josh described it as the corner of Avalor's mouth like twitched, like just so slightly, which is huge because that's the first we've ever seen.
Yeah.
But Blythe kept it to herself and didn't say anything. Last session, in session 3, Dale, Avalor made some offhand comment being like, oh, we could just burn the bodies or something like that, or like, I don't care. And Dale kind of, as an offhanded joke, was like, have you always been like this, Avalor? And Avalor was like, yep. And I was like,
insight check.
I'm gonna insight check that.
Insight check that.
I'm gonna insight check that. And
you rolled like a 27.
I got a natural 20.
Yeah.
So me and Josh actually stepped out of the room.
Which is weird for our table.
It is very weird for our table, by the way.
You stepped out of the room and Josh whispered you.
Yep.
Some sweet nothings.
Yep. We stepped out of the room, had a chat, didn't mention anything about it,
and
then I cornered him on the watch.
Yeah, you cornered him on the watch.
And Blythe kind of broached the conversation, being like, "Look, this has taken its toll on all of us. This is really hard. How are you feeling?" And Avalor, of course, was like, "Well, no, I'm fine, actually. Like,
not feeling much,
not feeling anything." And Blythe echoed what Dale said and was like, "Avalor, have you always been like this?" And then she continued and said, "Because I see you. I can see what you're feeling, and I can see through whatever this is, and I just want to let you know."
Like this, I know there's something there.
I know, I can see through it, and if there's anything troubling you, or if you feel like you have to keep up this facade for our sake, like, you don't have to do that. And Avalor actually opened up, which surprised me, Margaret, and obviously surprised Blythe, because Josh keeps things very close to his chest with his characters.
Josh always picks like the time. He's happy to wait and like let others come forward, but he is more than happy to like bide his time and wait.
Yeah.
The moment where he feels it's right to like release his backstory.
Yeah. Yeah.
But,
yeah. I know, sad bestie. yeah, literally. So Avalor was like, he's like, I'm not choosing to be like this, He was like, what was the metaphor he used?
It's like there's 2 cups, and one is the one where I choose to be like this, and one is the one where I don't choose to be like this. And he's like, I'm drinking from the cup where I don't choose to be like this. Like it was. I can't really remember exactly how it was.
It was very poignant the way he said it.
Poignant the way he said it, but it's like maybe it was like I had the choice, but now it's just
He was like, he's like, the 2 cups are in front of me, and I can see them, but no matter what,
I have to pick up this cup.
I pick up this cup, and it's the one where I can't help this.
I can't do it.
So Blythe was, tried her best to understand where he was coming from, also being the most emotional one in the party.
100%.
But she was very much like, okay, well, if it's a case of you're not meaning to do it, then maybe together, all of us, we can work through it if you want to. And she kind of moved the conversation on and said, who are you looking for? Like, you've mentioned that you're looking for someone in the city. You want to go in there. You make a good point of being like, nothing's going to get in my way and I'm going to get in there. Like, who is it? Because they must be important to you.
And Josh has made up like points a few times where like, oh, what if civilians this, and what if the survivors that, and what if like these people aren't dead? Josh has very much had like a point to be like, Avalor is just like, as long as I get in there and I get to do what I need to do, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not going to let things hold me back. I'm not going to let things stop me. I'm going in. I am happy to have you here, but I'm not going to fuck about. It's very much like
very
bullshit,
very much so. So Avalor said, well, see, it's one of these things where, above table, obviously we all saw Avalor's memory. We know he has a wife. We know her name is Luello. Like, we know all this information, but Blythe doesn't. So he said, yes, actually, I'm looking for a woman, a very, very smart, intelligent woman, and she actually might be able to put an end to this. She might know how to stop all of this, so I need to find her. And Blythe was like, well, that's a really good reason to want to do this. You know, Blythe didn't push. She didn't say, "Oh, like, what is this woman to you? Who is she? Who is she?" Blythe very much was like, "That's a very novel reason to want to do."
Not novel.
Novel. No.
Noble.
Thank you so much for the follow,
Thanks for the follow.
That's a novel. Novel?
No,
noble. Oh my god.
Noble. Novel. Hello. Thanks for the first time chat.
That's a very noble cause.
Noble.
And she was like, "Where are we going to find her? Do you know?" And Avalo was like, "She's in the X area here, which is very much in the kind of like the working area." And Avalo lied. He was like, "I lied. I am from the city, actually." And Blythe was like, "Well," and then Avalo said, "I actually need to talk to Dale about this because I think
she might know the woman I'm looking for.
I think Dale might know her." To which Blythe was like, "Oh, well, does she know her because of her job? Because Dale works for someone called an organization called the Cinder Circle, who was like a big like organization, like part of the Ashen Heart, right?"
Yeah.
And he was like, "Yeah, that's exactly why." And Blythe said, "Well, you know what? There's a chance actually that either myself or Marcus might know who you're looking for."
Yeah.
We lived in the city. You know, Marcus worked for the Ashen Excavation,
which was very, very tightly linked to the Cinder Circle.
Yeah, and
they worked hand in hand.
And Blythe had made it clear that she knows people who worked in those as well. And Avalo was like, "Oh, well, yeah, her name's Luella." And I look to Jack and I say, "Does Blythe know Luella?" And Jack, well, you can say what you said.
I said, what did I say? Did I ask you to roll a history check?
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
yes,
and you
did.
rolled really well. And I was like, yes. Oh, man, but if I say this out loud because I whispered it to you, I guess we can tell them.
Yeah.
How do we deal with that? Because I didn't tell the rest.
No, you didn't actually.
I only told you.
Okay.
Well, basically, yes, you've heard the name.
Yes. Yes,
you've heard the name. I won't say why you've heard the name, but you've heard the name.
Yep.
Yeah.
You have heard, you know the name.
You know the name.
You know who this person is. You know this person because they are very tightly linked to your person.
Your person. Somebody you know from your back.
Someone you know. And Blythe was like, "Oh, I know that person. That person worked with my husband, actually." And that was the first time that Blythe said out loud, and I confirmed to the party that Blythe indeed has a husband, which she does. And I just want to say right now, off the bat, Blythe's husband is based 100% on Gale of Waterdeep from Baldur's Gate 3. Everything about him.
He looks.
The way he looks.
His
the way
name.
he sounds. I don't want to know. I don't want to hear it. He's based on Gale.
He is Gale.
And he is called Gale.
And he's called Gale.
So if you remember, in last campaign update, we found the letter that had the handwriting on that belonged to Gale. And we all know now Gale is Blythe's husband. A woman of taste.
A woman of fine taste.
Thank you. Oh, thank you, RRW Fox. Thank
Girls'
you.
dinner.
Yeah. Why did I think Blythe's Gale was a woman? You would not be the first one to think that, Queen Row. Absolutely not.
I think Gale is like a unisex name.
Gale. I did that intentionally.
Yeah.
Very much intentionally. And anywho, Blythe was like, yes. Oh, Blythe is a woman. Yeah, Blythe is a woman.
Yeah, Blythe is a woman.
Oh, you also thought Blythe was a man, right? So, R.I.P. my sapphic headcanon. I'm so sorry, Queen Row. So yes, Blythe says she worked with my husband. Actually, she worked quite closely with my husband, so I know her too. So I know who we're looking for. So understood. I hope we do find her. I hope we do.
Chat, you aren't ready for what's going to happen. Chat, prepare yourself.
Conversation kind of ends, right? We kind of share some pleasantries and kind of make it clear that we're looking out for each other. And he goes to bed. Blythe takes her watch.
Is it you or was it Dale? Oh no, it was you, and then it was Dale, then it was Mac.
Yep, yeah. It was Blythe's watch, and all Blythe did, if this is the stream music, in game list is fire.
This is
exactly
This is my in-game playlist. This is for non-combat playlist.
The playlist that we're listening to right now
is just the Bloodborne Sleep Ambience.
Yeah,
playlist.
and I'm sorry, YouTube, you won't be able to hear it, but this is exactly the music that we have.
That's why you should come to Twitch every Friday and every Sunday at 7 p.m. GMT.
So Blythe's watch, she didn't really do much. She just kept an eye out as well. But she sat with Balthazar the whole time, and when she was talking to Balthazar, when you talk to your pet, kind of in lieu of someone, she sat there and she talked to him, and she was basically just like, another secret, another lie, another layer, another thing I didn't know about. And she turns to Balthazar and she's like, did you tell him? Did he tell you about this? Because he didn't tell me about this. And just kind of had, just a bit of a convo with her dog. And then Dale comes out.
Yeah.
Blythe goes, wakes Dale up. Listen, Blythe did the rounds this evening. I'm not going to lie.
She did the
rounds. Gail, all men do is lie. So, Dale comes out, and Dale, listen, I've said this before. Dale is a ray of sunshine. My literal note here says Dale is the sweetest ever. So, Dale comes out, and she's very much like, I'm really sorry that you're so sad all the time.
Because she is. And Dale also made multiple coffees and ate multiple pastries on her watch where she's going to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
It's canon that coffee does not affect Dale in the slightest, and she makes unbelievably good coffee.
So she's basically like, I'm sorry that you're so sad all the time, and I'm also sorry about bringing up the topic of death around you. I sometimes don't think before I talk. I didn't think about how it could have affected the people around me when I brought up that conversation. If you remember a few sessions ago, there was a big conversation about what people think happens after death when you die. And Blythe kind of broke down a little bit towards the end of that conversation. And because Dale instigated it, she was apologizing here and was like, I didn't mean to upset you, and I will think next time before I speak. To which Blythe was very much like, it's not your burden to bear. It's not
my sadness.
Yeah.
Misery.
My sadness and what has happened to me is not your burden to bear. And it's not your fault that you brought these things up, which, we're surrounded by death. We're going to talk about it. And I'm sorry that I had such a visceral reaction to it. And we'll both work on it together, basically. And we just had a nice conversation. That was kind of the biggest thing to note of our conversation, really.
So. Yeah.
Blythe goes to bed. Dale continues her watch, and then it's Marcus's turn. So on the exchange between Marcus coming up and Dale going to bed, they have a conversation too. And of course, Dale offers him coffee.
So much role play.
They have listen, when it's two rays of sunshine together, it's going to be a nice chat, right? And it was a nice chat. And I can't remember how they got into the conversation, but they were just talking about how things are, and once again they were checking in on Blythe, which is very nice, and Avalo. And they got into the conversation of how Dale has her psychic powers, right? She's a soul knife rogue. She flavors her attacks and her soul knife, as in she just has this dagger which really cool, hovers, and she can control it with her mind. And it's awesome.
You know that guy from the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie who whistles his arrow? With the blue dude who whistles his arrow, and it's like that. It's flavored like that.
Yeah.
And she just sort of does small gestures, and the knife just shoots around.
It's very cool.
It's all telekinetic. And
it's
stuff.
very
really
cool. They got into talking about that, and Marcus was kind of complimenting her, being like, "It's really cool that you can do that." And Dale was like, "Yeah, it's strange that you say that, because I've never said this out loud. I've never told anyone that I have psychic powers." She was like, "I do. You're the first person I've told, and you're the first people who see it." And she expands to say, not only does she have psychic powers, she has the ability to, or had the ability to be able to read people's minds, and not out of choice. It was something that just happened. And she went on to say, like, well, because Marcus was like, that's handy.
That's really helpful.
That's really good.
That we could do with that.
Yeah. And Dale was very much like, no, it's not. It is actually a curse.
Yeah.
She was like, sometimes you do not want to know what the first thing to come to someone's head is.
About you.
Sometimes you don't want to know. And she's like, and people don't intentionally do it, but they do. And if you can hear it, you don't want to.
Doesn't make you feel good.
She was like, people think all sorts of things all the time, and being privy to it is a curse.
Yeah.
And
which is a really cool take on it, I think.
Which is an incredibly cool take on it. Yes, exactly.
Really cool take.
Yeah, that is 100%.
100% true, yeah.
100%. So the conversation continues, and Dale, well, Marcus is like, how did you get these powers? And Dale was very much like, I don't know. And it's not just that. I was connected to something. There's others like me out there. And
flashbacks to the first episode.
Where
somebody else reveals themselves with purple eyes.
She's like, there's others like me, and I chose to leave. She was like, they think it's a mistake. The ones I left think it's a mistake, but I don't. It's not a mistake that I left. And no matter what they say, it wasn't a mistake. And she made that very, very clear.
The entity. Someone said in chat.
She made it very, very clear that was the case. And that was kind of...
That was mostly it, yeah.
That was kind of it. So that was a huge, huge piece of lore. And the final thing she said was... she was like, because they were talking about people's thoughts, and he was like, well, how do you know who's good or bad? And Dale was like, you don't know who's good or bad. And then she kind of ponders to herself, and she's like, I don't know if I was supposed to be good or bad. And Marcus is like, supposed to be? What do you mean? To which Dale doesn't really have an answer. She doesn't really know. There's just a feeling of she doesn't know if she was supposed to be good or bad. So that's a big lore dump.
That's weird, isn't it? That's a weird thing to say.
We know that Dale was connected to others who were the same. We know that she was supposed to be something. We know that she used to be able to read people's minds, and she chose to leave. So that's all incredibly, incredibly important information.
And all so cryptic.
And oh my god, so cryptic. I don't know if anyone...
Whilst giving away actually quite a bit of valuable information.
Trust me, there's so much more of that. I told you this was going to be a doozy.
Oh man, we aren't even out the first bit.
So then, Marcus finishes his watch, and then he's like, "Is Blythe awake?"
Is Blythe awake? Because obviously Blythe only needs to sleep for 4 hours. So I was like, yes, Blythe's awake.
Is Blythe awake?
Blythe is struggling to sleep, and then she gets up and she comes over.
And you describe it as because I try to include Balthazar like as much as I can, right? You flavored it as Marcus was really cold, and Balthazar, as you can see, he's got like the flames in his chest, so we say he's really warm and snuggly. He actually goes to get Balthazar, and Balthazar's just staring at me while I sleep.
Yeah,
just watching me. He's just... This is a campaign update. This segment is, and when this is finished, we're going to be doing the homebrew challenge stuff. So this is just a segment. Balthazar's fucking staring at me with all his 4 little eyes.
Really staring.
So, Blythe gets up, goes and sits with him, sits with Marcus, and they end up talking. And Marcus is like,
buckle in, Jack.
Marcus is like, I'm sorry, I don't really know how to broach this conversation, but when you found that letter and you saw the symbol on it, you got quite aggressive towards me. You seemed to think that maybe I knew something that I didn't, that I knew something more. And I just want to know from you, is there something more that you know? Is there something you're not telling us? To which Blythe simply replies, yes, actually there is. There is something I'm not telling you. And I know who wrote the letter. To which Marcus was like, well, fuck. Well, that's good.
That's good information.
That's good, because maybe we can find them and we can ask them about this symbol. To which Blythe says, it was written by my husband. And again, that was, the first time that Marcus in character had learned that I have a husband. Thank you, Leaf, for the sub. Thank you so much, Leaf. Thank you. This was the first time Marcus heard about Blythe having a husband. To which Marcus immediately starts like foraging around, like in his shirt, and he also pulls out a necklace that has a ring on it. And he's like, I'm married too. I'm married. And there's this moment of understanding in both of them, right? That they're not currently with their partners now. They're going into the city to find them. Marcus has made it clear that he was looking for family, and Marcus made it really clear to be like, I have to have hope that they're alive. This person is alive. While Blythe is the other side of it. Blythe is like, I think everyone's going to be dead. Marcus is, no, they're going to be alive. And in that moment, there's this understanding between the both of them where they're like, it all makes sense, right? It all makes sense. And not only does Marcus say that he's married, he gives a name, Atticus, who we had mentioned. He had mentioned previously. He has a husband. And not only does he have a husband, he has 2 children. He has 2 boys, Theodore and Ewan. Theodore is 6 and Ewan is 3. And again, it was one of these moments where, like, Blythe knows he's going into the city to find his family. And Blythe had this whole moment of a battle within herself to try to work out what to say next, because he's trusted her, to which she leans forward and she takes his hands and she says, I have a daughter too. And this is the first time that I've revealed that Blythe has a daughter. So the secret husbands, secret kids. 2 of us. Well, 3 of us, because Avalo had a secret wife too.
Yeah.
So loads of secret spouses, exactly.
Everyone's got a secret spouse and everyone's got kids. So Blythe has a husband.
Blythe has a husband called Gail.
A daughter.
And she has a daughter called Lenore. And Lenore is also 6 years old. Was 6 years old. And they have this, they embrace each other, and they share this moment of like solidarity with each other. And Blythe's like, well, Marcus is like, we can find them. We're going to find them. They're going to be alive and they're going to be in the city. To which Blythe is like, not for me. Unfortunately, that ended for me a long time ago. They are both dead, and they actually died quite a long time before the comet fall. And she says, I lied about what I'm going into the city for. I'm not going in to the city to kill someone. I'm going into the city to try and find their bodies. And again, it was one of these things where the whole thing just got shaken up one more time. And we find out more about Marcus's family, Atticus. So Atticus, his husband, again, don't know, dead or alive, we don't know. Atticus also worked in the Ashen excavation, but in like so we were in the cupboard. So Marcus worked in the Ashen excavation, as you know. He's an archaeologist, and his husband also did the same, but just worked in like a slightly different area. So his
husband actually works in the Cinder Circle.
Pardon me.
So same. Matthew very much described it to me when the campaign started. He was like, I want it to be like same building but different department sort of thing. And I was like, well, that's fine. We can do that. There's so much crossover between the two. I was like, we can say that you work in departments that mingle quite closely.
Yeah.
So Atticus is part of the Ashen, part of the Cinder Circle, and Matthew was part of the Ashen excavation.
Me, I can have this on while I work on my homework. Me now. I'm so sorry. There's more.
Oh, the twist hasn't happened yet, chat.
So.
There's a few heater bits in this session.
We find out that Atticus, Marcus's husband, works in the Cinder Circle. To which Blythe is like, well, you know what? To be honest, they might have known each other. Our husbands actually might have known each other. My husband, his name is Gail Warren. Do they know each other? Turns out they did. It's not that they knew each other. Gail was
Gil was the glue between the departments.
Yes.
So he was quite high up in terms of like the action excavation would, go out and find magical secrets and things of long eras past and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them would be magic. And they would come back and they would like give the really important stuff over to the Cinder Circle and describe like things that they found out. So there was just loads of crossover. And if there was anything like really important, somebody like Gale, the head of this department, would be the person that you go to with things, so he can correspond between the two, like relay the information.
Yes. And in fact, it turns out that once again, our partners knew each other and they worked with each other and they talked with each other. And Blythe kind of goes, man, it's crazy. We are all connected, all of us. Avalo is so much more connected in this than we think. Avalo, he's also looking for someone who worked in is it the Cinder Circle?
Avalo's also worked in the Cinder Circle.
Yes. Avalo's looking.
My dog was licking himself.
Avalo's also looking for someone who worked in the Cinder Circle. And you might know her. And the mood kind of changes. And Blythe kind of gets like not like frantic. I would say I think her demeanor changes. The conversation they're having prior to this is, very emotional, but very engaged, and like the air around her changes. And she says, actually, no, I've lied again. I actually am looking to kill someone. I'm only looking to kill one person in this whole world. And this one person is the person that Avalo's looking for. It's Luella. I'm going to kill her. And Marcus, everyone sat at the table like... Josh is sat there like...
I look at Josh and Josh is going...
And Marcus in game is like, well, that's not good. He's like, I'm not going to ask, but that's really not good. He was like, can you keep that? You have to keep that to yourself. And Blythe was like, oh, I'll keep it to myself. I already have. But just, when push comes to shove, that's going to happen, Marcus. And what I haven't told you and what I hadn't told Jack.
Failed to tell me, because normally, like, if she hears something, she wants to like confirm something, or she's like, oh, I think I'm going to do this next session, because obviously I'm the Dungeon Master. I'm like, yeah, sounds good, whatever you want, like, power to you. Obviously, like, there was a few descriptors to Margaret before the campaign, and then I described Luella using the exact same description last session when Josh had his dream, and I didn't think that Margaret had picked up on it, and I was like, okay, that's okay, because I don't need to make it like super obvious now. Maybe just next time I'll just like linger on it a little bit more and see if Margaret's getting it. And if she's still not, I can do things about that. But so I thought she didn't realize. Turns out she did realize. She just didn't tell me.
I just didn't tell him because I wanted it to come out in this kind of dramatic way, and it did. Everyone was very shook around the table. Yep. This is the very first time we've ever even come close. Like, and I'm not saying like to PvP because, we don't know where this is going to take it, right? And again, there's some information that I know and Jack knows that, kind of changes the situation a little bit, right? But this is the first time.
I know it's the good shit.
This is the first time that we've ever had a potential clash in the party.
Like conflict. Like a deep, like, we've had conflicts of opinions on things about if we like governments or gods and things like that. But we've never had like I want to rescue this person because they're my wife and I want to kill your wife.
Yeah. Pretty big thing.
And I trust my party to handle it very, very, very well.
Yes. Yeah. Me and Josh have had to talk about it since, and we'll talk about it kind of in the lead up too. But yeah, Josh doesn't know why. No one knows why apart from us.
No one knows why apart from me and Margaret.
Which you will certainly find out why eventually. But that was kind of the crux of the evening talks.
Yes.
And that was the beginning of the session, by the way.
Yeah. that was the first.
That was the first like hour of the session, I would say.
Hour of the session.
Yeah. Maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
But like fucking it was a big juicer. Blythe be like, I'm gonna get that home wrecker. No comment. No comment.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, you got to have a lot of trust.
Yeah, and what you got to
sure.
remember is there's maybe things that maybe Margaret doesn't know.
Yes, indeed. There's things all of us don't know, right?
There's things that only I know. There's things that only, like me and other people in the party know, and then there's things that just I, just me, no one else.
Yep, indeed. So that kind of wraps up the conversations.
That wraps up the conversations. So
right?
Then the next morning happens.
Yep.
And we go into the city to try and shut the gate.
Yes. Yeah.
So I won't bore you with the skill checks and challenges to get over the wall and stuff like that, but we do so, and we get the gate down. Makes a fuck ton of noise, but nobody comes. And I'm like, at this point, it's up to you guys. Like, what do you want to do? Are you going back to Hemwick now, or are you going to go further into the city?
Well, an important thing to note that happened to Avalo, similar to in last session when he climbed up the wall and he saw like the memories of the city and he saw his own memories. Actually, as he approached the gate of Cleargate, he kind of gets put back into this memory again. And you describe it as he has like a red gem on his forehead. The red gem warms up and it's like you did like a sound effect of like a heart beating. You didn't explicitly say it was a heart beating, but it was like ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum,
It was just like that.
It was like ba-dum, 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 bum, 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 ba-dum. And you say that he sees Luella again in a vision.
I said that, like the walking up to the gate and like on the outside of the gate, the ground leading up to it, the walls, the buildings on this side of the gate are still, they're fallen, miserable, dank selves.
Yeah.
I said, but past the gate, like within the gate, as if that was like a picture frame, like a window into the city. Like you can see the blue sky, you can see the birds, you can see the bustling streets, all the carts getting loaded up in Cleargate. And I said, then you can also see two people as they're facing away from you. You can see yourself, and you can see you holding hands with your wife. And she turns around and looks back at you, and she gives you a smile, and then you sort of like pull her further into the city as you walk away. And as you walk away, he like blinks, and as he blinks, it changes again. It's just as horrendous as it is now.
Poor Avalo. Poor Avalo.
And Margaret wants to kill her.
I want to kill her. I want her dead. Listen, I want her dead. Who knows why? I want her dead. So, we go into the city. We get some stuff from the bakers. We get loads of different things.
Mm-hmm.
We learn that in each city there is basically like a mage tower stationed of like a wizard or a mage of the Cinder Circle, who each district has like a mage that they need, right? Like, you can see why she was almost a Vengeance Paladin now. Exactly, Queen Ro. Exactly.
The story was written
as a Vengeance Paladin. It was.
So you can sort of say.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know that there is a crash site of a meteor in Cleargate that was actually only an hour's walk from the wall. You get to a point where you could either turn right and go to that crash site, or you could go up to the bakers. So you were like, we'll do that first. We'll go to the bakery first. You get there, you get all the shit, and as you're inside, you're trying to take down the sign because you want to return it to Godiva the baker at Hemwick. And as you are, you begin to see something.
We see movement. We see people moving. And we all kind of duck behind the windows and we look out, and we see that there's one guy, like a normal, not normal. He's a guy who's in a trench coat and he's got a hat, and he looks very much like the men that we saw before, like Berea and the people he was with. The black eyes, the black veins, a little bit fucked up, all the bandages. But behind him was 3 like giant humanoid things.
Like hulking humanoids that were like hunched over. They sat about like 12 to 15 feet tall. And they were bulging in ways. Like parts of their skin were like almost tearing open from like too much something underneath. Some of their arms were like too big, and parts of the legs were like too big, and they were like uneven, but they were like huge in terms of size. They had like bandages wrapped around them as well, and they were like following like lazily and slowly behind this man, like walking at the front.
And we could hear Dale could hear, because she did comprehend languages again, she could hear what he was saying to them. And he was basically just like, be careful, you fucking stupid oafs.
No, I was after.
Oh, never mind.
I was after. So they walked past and you were like, okay, they've gone.
Yes.
And you were safe. So you went back out and you went towards the wizard's tower.
Yep. Couldn't get in.
Which was just off the main road.
Listen, couldn't get in.
Couldn't get in.
Couldn't get in. Listen, we couldn't get in.
Tower. They couldn't get in.
You know,
there was no door.
You know those moments when you so desperately want to get in the thing, but you just don't know how to, so you try everything? It was like that.
There was all sorts of fucking... I cast this, I say that, I whisper this, I kiss it, I lick it. Also, just, you know, all the usual
everything you could think.
I hit it with the baguette.
Yep.
Or something like that.
Literally anything you could think, we tried to do.
Yeah.
But we couldn't get in, and that's fine. We couldn't get in. So
then they began to hear like the rolling of stone.
Yeah.
And behind them on the street. And you began to like duck around the back of the mage tower. And as you did, you saw the man at the front, like walking backwards, like almost like guiding people forward. And as he was saying, be careful, you stupid fucking oafs. Yeah.
I've written this really weird.
He said a number of things. It was basically like, be fucking careful. But only Abby could hear it because she cast comprehend language.
Yeah, it won't be me you have to answer to if you fuck this up. And make sure you roll it into the road. Stop rolling it into the buildings.
Yeah, and you see them go past like the road where you just came down to get to the wizard's tower, which is just off the main road. They're rolling this like really large boulder.
Like, and not only is it this giant boulder, it is like a black obsidian sphere. A perfect obsidian sphere.
Almost perfect. And it has these like weird fucking like red like veins.
Red veins in it that we can see. We can see the red veins. And you say they're like with like pulsing with like energy, or they're just pulsing? Or
they were changing colours from like red to orange. Like at times.
Yeah.
It was uneven. It didn't really have a pattern or anything like that.
Yeah. The big
almost like pulsing.
Big, nasty, massive thing that they're pushing, this black obsidian stone with veins in it.
They kept nearly crashing it into the building. So this guy in front was like shouting at them, like, stop doing that, you fools.
Yeah.
You'll have somebody else to answer to. It won't be me. It'll be far scarier than me. And then Blythe says, she knows the name of the wizard, and she tries...
Achillean!
The wizard's name was Achillean. And she's like, Achillean. And I'm like, do you say that out loud? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, the man at the front turns and looks. And everyone was like...
I was like, I wouldn't have just said it. I swear. I would have whispered. I swear. I would have whispered. I swear. I swear. I whispered.
And that's why I said, do you say that out loud?
I swear. I would have whispered.
And she was like, yeah, I do. And I'm like, right, well, the guy looks at you. And they were all like...
Basically, we hid. It's fine. He didn't find us.
He came close. He walked around. He did some investigating.
Yeah.
You made some distractions and things like that. And he walked off.
Yeah.
They rolled the ball away. And you left.
Yeah. And
you went to the crash site.
Yeah, so the way that they were rolling this ball it was from the crash site.
Shite? From the crash site?
No.
Into the city. They were doing it from the crash site
into the city.
Further into the city.
So we were like, fuck it, we're here, right? We're here. We might as well go look at the crash site, okay? We go to the crash site. Empty. No one.
These buildings have been like cut like in like angles where this meteor's come down and crashed into the earth, and you can see it's like torn away at the earth and it's like left like almost like a crater that's like that from where it's just smashed in, and all of the rubble's like piled up on the backside.
And notably no one's here. Not a single sign of life at all.
You guys were getting really creeped out because the city was actually closer than you expected.
We were getting creeped out, honestly. So Avalor's like, I need to know. I need to take a look, because we realized when we get there, the sphere that they were pushing is the perfect size that fit in this crash site. They've rolled out whatever the fuck was in this crash site. They've rolled it out, but they're rolling it out 6 months later. It's not an immediate thing. So we cast invisibility on Avalor. He goes in. He actually manages to find like a shard of this stone, right? Being smart, he was like, I'm not going to touch it with my bare hands. He wraps it in a cloth, brings it back, and we have this shard. And we can see black obsidian with like a red vein in it. And we're like, okay, we've done quite enough.
Let's fucking get out of here.
Let's go.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
We've shut the gate. We've got all the supplies.
They told us not to get overcomplicated.
And here we
Let's
are.
find some information and get out.
Yeah.
And you did far more.
Yeah.
Than I think anyone would have expected.
Totally. So we're like, let's get the fuck out. Let's go. We leave. We go back to Hemwick. We make the travel back to Hemwick. As we get into Hemwick, there's kind of like a buzz as we're coming back.
Yeah, like some of the guards recognize that you're coming back.
Yeah.
And they go and fetch like the Father Augustine. They go and fetch Harold Isak. They go and like fetch people. And then there's like a little bit of a crowd gathering of people like ready to like welcome you back. Because obviously the reason they're here is because you're going into the city.
Yeah.
They're really excited.
Yeah. Harold
Isak.
It's kind of hard to remember that we are the first people going back into the city. Like it's not that it's hard to remember, but sometimes you forget that fact. So obviously the NPCs are going to be like, "Oh shit! Oh my god! You're back! Holy fuck!
You aren't dead!
Yeah,
That's
holy fuck!
News.
It's a big thing.
That's a success. We would call that a win."
So Harold Isak and Father Augustine were waiting for us, and Harold kind of greeted us like, "Oh, you're back! Oh, congratulations! You've taken a huge step for all of us. Well done! We're so proud of you. We're going to celebrate tonight. This is a feast. And listen,
tomorrow night.
The whole party is getting kind of weird vibes from the Herald. It could be on a metagaming level. You suspect him? Yes, Queen Rose. So do we. It could be on a metagaming level, knowing that, obviously, Dale, in the very first episode, he was like, I need to talk to you alone. And he revealed that he also has purple eyes like her. We know now from what Dale has said, she was connected to something, someone, people. And he was one of them. He made it clear to her that he was one of them.
You imagine.
And he asked a lot of cryptic questions that we still don't know the answers to. He's been reading your mind. Well, exactly. And I want to point out, before we actually came back to Hemwick, Dale kind of gathered all of us up. She didn't tell us anything more than what she told Marcus, but she was like, look, there's people who have the ability to read minds. He's a creep.
Marcus gaslighting y'all.
There's people in this world who are able to read minds. I know because I was one of them. Kind of went through that conversation with us. She was like, I have reason to believe there's someone at the camp who can do the same. So please guard your thoughts. Keep all of this to yourself. Keep these thoughts of whatever you think has happened to yourself, because all of our characters had a conversation being like, you know, we haven't even discussed the fact that someone has to sacrifice themselves every calendar's end, right? To keep us alive. You know, Blythe was like, we haven't even talked about the fact that Alejandra gave her life. We haven't even talked about the fact that the way that how our world and our lives as we know it exists is based on a sacrifice that someone has to make to a greater god. The gods have abandoned us. We know they've abandoned us because we've got the withered. The gods have abandoned us because the city's gone. The Everflame, we've never seen the Everflame. Who's ever seen the Everflame? Have any of us? No, we haven't. So I think that the comet fall was planned. I was like, Blythe was like, not planned, but she was like, it was intentional. Something sent this to us. It wasn't a phenomenon. It wasn't a mistake. Something happened, and it was intentional. You know, to which Marcus was like, I can't believe you think it's like that. To which Blythe said, of course it is. Blythe is like, I know enough from Gale. I know. My husband knew things. He knew things, and he couldn't tell me them, but I know he knew them. I knew he had secrets. So, which is all true. And sorry, I should have mentioned that prior, really.
That was just before we got back to the city, having that conversation on the way back. But then, yeah, they get greeted by everyone, and you know, so the Herald and Father are like really happy that they've returned, and everyone's like celebrating, and they're like, you know, they're just like, you can see that like this hope that they had has not died. If anything, it's strengthened. And you can see it on the face of all of the people around the town. They are like, what?
So I'm thinking of what Josh does next. Sorry.
Yeah, I'll tell you about what Josh does. You know, like we like everyone's having a bit of like happiness and they're like cheering with each other and talking to each other, and then people are going to start to like make food and prepare food for like tomorrow's feast and things like that, just to celebrate them coming home. And they're like getting the herald is like patting the crowd a little bit to let them through because they've got like a little bit of like notoriety at the minute, and like people want to be near them and like touch them and like thank them and stuff like that.
Which is weird for our characters because we've kind of seen we've seen not the immediate aftermath, but we've seen the aftermath of what's happened. It like in Blythe's mind, at least, it's not a happy celebration. It's a loss of people who have died.
What's the Ashen excavation that's in the circle again? The Ashen Heart is the overarching religion.
Yes.
That, is born of the Everflame.
Mm-hmm.
That is what Alejandra sacrificed herself like for and to. And, the Everflame was a gift from the gods before they left. And that was to like keep away the darkness and to keep away the bad, and as long as this flame burns, like the religion will be strong and faith will be strong and all those like good things. The Ashen excavation is just what it says on the tin. They are like archaeologists who go out into the world and dig up like forgotten relics of a forgotten past, and the Cinder Circle is basically like the magic school, like the magic guild that is run by everything is run by the Ashen Heart.
Yep.
Everything has to be for the Ashen Heart.
Yeah.
Everything is fed back to the Ashen Heart. Magic can't be practiced unless it is in the name of the Ashen Heart. Things can't be dug up unless it's in the name of the Ashen Heart. The Ashen Heart owns everything.
Yeah. So that's kind of how all that ties together. So we're all a little bit suspicious of the Herald. Like out of game, obviously we are, because we know everything that happened with him and Dale, right? But Dale hasn't specifically said that in game. But our characters anyway feel a little bit suspicious, especially Blythe, who trusts no one.
And as they're walking through the crowd, Dale's just warned them all.
Dale's like, people can read your mind, so be careful.
People can read your mind, stuff like that. Josh turns to me and goes, I want to think about killing the Herald.
No, Father Augustine.
Oh, Father Augustine. He's like, I'm going to think real hard
about killing Father Augustine.
And he's like, and I'm going to count down from 10 to 0. And when I turn around,
I'm going to run it, Father Augustine.
And then he's like, and I'm like, and then the 10 seconds comes down, and he turns and looks at Father Augustine. Father Augustine's like,
Avalo goes,
good gosh, man, I can't believe you scared me like that.
And obviously, he wanted to try and psych out the Herald to see if the Herald did anything.
See if the Herald like intervened.
There was nothing.
There was nothing.
So we all kind of were like, do we want to talk about everything now? And the Herald's like, no. We'll talk about all that all tomorrow. Like, you get some rest. We'll celebrate tomorrow.
Come and like talk to me in the morning and stuff like that. And then we'll have the feast on the night, and then we'll plan your next excursion.
Yep. And so we go to sleep.
Yes.
And this is very much Harold would let Augustine die to stay secret, I'm sure. I also agree with you, Queen Rose.
Y'all were fucking so on the Herald's back.
It's me, I've gaslit everyone.
All he's done is reveal that he has a secret to Dale and talk about your mission.
Weird. Down with the Herald. Yep, weird. So, we go to sleep.
I don't trust him. All men do is lie.
Mm-hmm. Tell Blythe that. Yeah. So we go to sleep.
Yeah.
And Jack is like, 2 things before you sleep. Dale.
Yeah.
You have a dream. Buckle in. So you actually might do a better job explaining this dream than I do.
Okay, yeah,
to be honest.
I'll try and do, I'm not like setting the lights and stuff like that. And turning the music on.
Oh my God. We set all the lights. We turned the lights down dark. We put some music on. It was very spooky.
So here we go. She takes a while to fall asleep, as it's been quite stressful, but at the same time it's been exhausting. So sleep does find her eventually, and as it does, she sleeps quite well and it's quite peaceful for the longest time until she begins to like feel something like pressing against her back, and it like pushes in, and it's like a familiar sense to her. And as it does, something also begins to like push on her chest, and then both of her legs and her arms, as she's like in this really strange position with both arms up and both legs below, and she's being like squeezed, almost like she's spelunking, almost like she's in this like really claustrophobic tight space. it's like everything's like pushing against every part of her body.
And also, there was a few times in this session, she had referred to being claustrophobic. Yeah. Dale had to take a moment when we were inside a tight space. She had to go get some breath. She had referred to a few times that she has claustrophobia, right?
And it's all dark for a long time. And I'm like, this is a familiar feeling to you. And she starts to like panic a bit. And I'm like, but eventually you begin to see a light above you. It's like a crack in the surface above. So she's like, I go for it. And I just explain how she has to like struggle and like almost dislocate and like push and squeeze, and almost the parts where it feels like it's about to break her ribs. She like pushes her shoulders forward and like slides through. And it's just this horrible claustrophobic space, but she like puts her hands on these like slick rocks and begins to like pull herself up and like slide her legs through. She finally like pushes to the top, and as she does, she like puts her hand like on this like almost like stone surface. She can see like the room around her is like completely white. As she like pulls herself out, she can see all like the dirt on her hands as like on this white floor. There's like mud dripping off her face and everything. She like slides herself out onto the deck. She's in a completely white room, but on the wall that she's facing, it's like sheet metal with like square cutouts in. And I keep describing it to her. I'm like, it's so weird because you've never been here before and you know you haven't. But at the same time, this is an all too familiar room to you. You know exactly what this room is. But at the same time, you don't. Why would you? Because you know. She gets out. She goes to like walk towards it. And I'm like, you know what's in this wall. These like square cutouts have like handles on them. I'm like, you know what's in there because you did this. But also you don't because you've never been here before, like I said. I'm like, you know that there's bodies inside each one of these slide outs. So she like puts a hand on one of the handles. Like, slides it out as like the metal shifts. It's like really heavy. She begins to slide it out. And as she slides it out, it's just a metal case that could be opened, but on top of the metal case, there's loads of runes carved into the metal. Runes that she doesn't understand, but of course she understands because she put them there. And she's like, and I'm like, you don't know why, but you know whatever you need to do now, there's a connection that has been remade that you had before. And obviously she's talking about connections like in this session. So she sort of gets what I'm talking about, but nobody else does. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about, Jack? I'm like, you get your dagger out. And as she does, she smashes it into these runes. And she begins to like carve this metal. And she stabs it in again. She carves more. She's like ruining all of these runes as she's like stabbing them in. And she's doing it more and more and more because she knows she needs to undo what she has done. But she doesn't know what she's done, but she knows she needs to. And then she wakes up. And when she wakes up, the bedroom door in the room closes. And she's like, I get up and I run to the door. And as she runs to the door, she pulls the door open. She looks down the hallway and a figure just steps out of view. And she runs to the end of the hallway. And as she runs to the end of the hallway, she looks towards the door, like the door out of the house. And the door out of the house just shuts. And I'm like, roll an insight check. And she rolls really well. And as she rolls the insight check, I'm like, this, whatever this is ahead of you. It's faster than you. And it's making sure you see it. And she's like, fuck. She runs to the door. She opens up the door and she looks out. She looks out for ages. And as her eyes like adjust to the dark, she looks across and there is just a figure across the town looking at her, looking back at her. And after it knows it's been seen, it just moves on. And I'm like, and that was it.
Scary. Yeah, that's so paranoid. I would do that. I feel sick. Yeah. Oh my god. The amount of you, by the way, who are like Morg, yeah. I'm so sad that chat isn't coming up in that bottom corner because oh my goodness. Yeah. Like all of us, we were all freaked the fuck out. We turned all the lights off. Like we had scary music on. We were freaked out. It was when you were like, this person stands in the tree line and it's staring at you.
It's just staring at you.
And then it just steps away.
And after it knows it's been seen and like your eyes settle and like you just like have this connection for a moment and you just look at each other, it just moves away.
Ooh. Spooky shit. Oh my goodness gracious me. So that's very fucking scary.
Yes. That was very scary. That was
and
very
then
spooky.
To finish it off, Jack turns to me and he's like,
Margaret. Your turn now. And she's like, great.
Good. How are we going to follow that spooky shit?
So same sort of thing. I was like, you don't sleep a lot, so it does take a long time for you to get to sleep. The sadness is overwhelming.
Yeah, I spoon Balthazar to go to bed.
Yeah, you do. You spoon Balthazar to go to bed, and you do finally fall asleep, and you wake up in your old house in Osrenda. You're in the front room, and like their house is laid out like as if you were sat at the fireplace. There's a settee in front of you, a settee on the right, and a little coffee table in between those and in front of the fireplace. So you're like on the opposite side of the fireplace. There's windows down the left side, which joins onto like a kitchenette at the back, and then the house moves on further to the right. And I'm like, you are sat still where the fireplace is. You can see, sat across from you on the other side of the coffee table on the settee, Lenore, looking at you, sort of holding a blankie under her arm. She's obviously, she looks a little bit spooked.
And for those who have just joined in, who have missed, Lenore is Blythe's daughter.
And there's a figure behind her, but it's like blurred out. It's like out of focus. Like it's almost as if a camera's like out of focus, but in the kitchen, looking out. And Lenore looks like dead in your eyes. And she says, Daddy's acting weird. Daddy's like really, really worried, and I don't know why. And you like try and reply, and I'm like, she doesn't respond. As if like,
yeah,
you're seeing.
I'm seeing something.
You aren't able to be part of this, sadly. But she says, he's getting really stressed out. He said that someone's going to drop something off, and it's going to make us safe, but they haven't got here yet. I'm really worried. Like, Daddy doesn't normally act like this. And did I say anything else?
He doesn't think they're going to get here in time.
Yeah, he doesn't think they're going to get here in time. Obviously, they're talking about the person who's supposed to drop something off so we can be safe. And you see the figure in the kitchen, like, stood up, looking out, waiting, drops to the floor. And as they drop to the floor, they begin to, like, scurry along the floor, like, almost like army rolling underneath those nets when they're doing the challenges, like that across. And he like leaps over the settee and grabs Lenore and pulls her onto the ground. And as he pulls her onto the ground, you're like crying and screaming and like trying to talk to your daughter. And you can see them like both crawl across the floor, like further into the house. And as you do, the room's like silent for a second. The room's like completely still. And then you just see the door, which is in the kitchenette, just like opens up. Couldn't see anybody outside through the window. Couldn't see anybody move in. But the door, like, clicks open and then just, like, wafts in the wind. And then you wake up. And then the level 4.
I'm a level 4! Well, and also, an important thing, when Blythe wakes up...
When Blythe wakes up, Balthazar is at the end of the bed staring at you.
I'm a level 4.
Level 4, woo!
Woo! So
it was a big session.
It was a really big session.
It was a fucking juicer.
You know what? I'm sorry that actually ended up going on for considerably longer than I expected it to. Leveled up from the trauma. Thank you, Gerald, for your first comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodness me. So, to recap what we learned that Avalo is looking for Luella, his wife. We learned that Marcus has a husband called Atticus, has 2 children, Theodore and Ewan. Blythe has a husband called Gale and a daughter called Lenore. Dale was connected to something. She could read people's minds, and she chose to leave whatever connections these were. And we had those spooky dreams.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. You took your trauma like good little pieces, so here's a level up. Would this fella ever be creepy? I would like to show you Blythe's mood board, actually.
Yes.
Gale and Lenore died, though. Yes, they did. They died before the comet fell. So Blythe knows that she's looking for, she wants to find their bodies, not them, unfortunately. Every time I hear Lenore, I think is fabric softener. Listen, I did the same. If you've watched Castlevania, there's a vampire called Lenore.
Yeah.
And And that's also what I think. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you Blythe's mood board that I made today, and then we can finally move on. I'm so sorry that took so long.
I apologize. It was good.
So this is Blythe's mood board.
Yeah.
We'll go from like the center in, and then we'll go up.
I'm gonna close this window 'cause it's so cold.
Came into creepy time. Yes, you did. So the middle, what is this?
Don't mind me. I've just got the stick to close that.
Yeah. Rag on a stick. Yeah. So, I've never made a mood board before, but Dana's lit list on a member of our community made Rayla a mood board and some others, and she always started it by she made Jasper one. She puts a quote in the middle, so I was like, I'm gonna do that. And when I think of a character concept, I always come up with like a quote first, right? Something that really speaks to me about this character that I can always refer to if I'm trying to think of, if I want to get into the headspace, right? So, Blythe's quote that I always go back to is, "After you died, I could not hold a funeral, and so my life became a funeral." That's very much everything that I try to encapsulate with Blythe. That's very much her. And again, now this probably makes a lot of sense after hearing some of her backstory. So I won't give too much away. I will leave it up to interpretation what you see here. But in this first one, we have some ginger hair, the same ginger hair that is in Blythe's locket. There is a open window with like the curtain blowing solemnly. There is a cute little quote that says, "You are my sunshine," on it, with some little doodles, a little sun and some flowers. There's two hands, a man and a woman's wearing wedding rings. There is this, which is kind of like a cloudscape with some like light rays and something here. Who knows what? In this one, there is a figure running in the rain in the dark with a lantern. This one is a woman holding a flaming sword. And then this one is a piano. And that's Blythe's mood board. I love it so much. So that's it. That's the campaign update.
Cool, that mood board, isn't it?
Thanks, guys. Thank you. So, you see my kangaroo dog? Kangaroo dog. That's it. Was this made when Blythe was a vengeance paladin or a swords bard? This was made today. So, when she was a swords bard. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it for the campaign update.
Yeah, absolutely.
Does anyone have any questions they would like to go over?
Yeah.
To be fair, I feel like we've answered we've answered them as they've kind of come in.
Yeah.
This setting reminds me of Drakenheim. Yeah.
They had like a similar like meteor striking, but Monty has this crazy like infection system and stuff like that. I didn't do anything like that, but mine is very much more based on the story over the mechanics and stuff like that. Did you take a feat or an ASI, Margaret? You haven't decided yet.
I took a feat.
Oh yeah,
I took a feat.
The dual wielder feat?
I'm taking dual wielder because swords bards do not get multi attack until level 6. Right now, I am holding a rapier and a short sword because
you obviously can't hold all you can hold in the offhand is a light weapon.
Yeah.
Not like a martial weapon or anything like that.
And the highest damage dice you can get on a light weapon is a D6. So I'm currently doing a D8, a D6.
Well, you're doing D8 plus Dex, just D6 on its own.
Just D6 on its own.
But with the feat and the fighting style.
Well, I do get D6 plus Dex because in the swords bard you can choose your fighting style, and I've taken 2-weapon fighting. But with dual wielder, I will be able to do a D8 plus Dex and a D8 plus Dex.
Yeah.
And then at 6th level, when I can have multi-attack, I'll have 3 attacks if I want them, if I want to use my bonus action. So, yep, I took a...
So now we're doing fucking D8 plus Dex plus D8 plus Dex, which is nice.
Yes, which is very, very nice. And we have a system where when we roll health, and what we do is we cannot...
Do you want me to explain?
Yes, I do.
It's not the easiest one. So basically, like, obviously we take the full at the beginning, and because we're level 3, we just took average for the levels before the campaign started, because we started at level 3. So we reroll ones for health, always reroll ones, and whatever you roll, you add your constitution on, but you note that down. So let's just say Margaret rolls a 4 this time, and then she adds a constitution on, she adds it to a health. Next time, she can't roll lower than a 4 if she rolled a 4 on the dice. So she can roll 5, 6, 7, or 8, and then if she rolls an 8, it resets to 1 again. So basically, you can't roll lower than what you rolled before.
Yes. And I rolled a 6, and I have tough, so I got a 6 plus 4, which is 10, so I'm on 40 hit points.
Got fucking loads of hit points.
Pretty good stuff. So yeah, that's it for the campaign update. Oh my goodness, no!
I'm good.
Thank you so very much to stream. That went on far longer than I expected it to be honest.
You were also engaged for so long.
You were, thank you. And thank you so very much to YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed this. Please keep the feedback coming. Do you enjoy it in this format? Do you enjoy hearing it like this?
That's more than my level 8 wizard. And yeah, let us know. Sorry, I'll let Margaret finish off before I answer any more chats.
Yes. Thank you so much for watching. So much. We really appreciate all the love that you're giving on the campaign updates.
It's great to see you all enjoying it.
Any questions that you have on YouTube, by the way,
stick them in the comments.
Please feel free to leave them in the comments. And we will see you next Wednesday for another campaign update.
Yeah. Bye, YouTube.
Bye, YouTube.